Hi, welcome to Dice Control Dojo. I'm Phil and I practice every day and share my tips so we can all get better at the casino. Today we're going to talk about practicing differently. So I've done 90 days of practice before I went to Vegas. Then I went to a coaching experience where they've changed my throw a little bit and we talked about the differences. So today we're going to talk about refresh you about my smart throw, what my plan is, and what is working for me differently for my practice. Um, so first off, I've been practicing a little bit, and guess what? I got to a table this week, which I was super excited about. I was very nervous because we talked a lot about how I wasn't going to play for 6 months. Well, what I mean by that, too, by the way, is that I'm just talking about I'm not going to go with my buddies and bet a lot of money if I'm in the middle of trying to change my throw. But the other day, I was throwing in the morning, I was doing my normal morning throw, and I was nailing it. I was doing really well, and I'm like, okay, I feel good. So when I came home from work that day, fortunately, I have a casino very close to me. I just said, well, let me pop in and see what happens. So I went in, did the typical 5 count on myself. I did my typical betting, trying to find my angles. So my first was, jamming it into the corner. And it was ironic, too, because the guy right before me was not hitting the back wall. He was just pitching it like this, but he kept missing the back wall, and they were harping and harping and harping. So that got in my head, right? Like, oh my God, they're going to yell at me about the back wall. But I never had one person say anything about me. And I had my first 5 count. I I made a point in the middle of the 5 count, and then I 0.7'd out. So I was almost even on that first roll, and then the second roll, it went around really quick because there was only two people at the table. But the second time around, I had a 20 roll, and I must have hit that 9 7 times. I was just nailing that 9, which was bringing me in some money, even though I 5 counted myself. It was good. So I'm feeling really good about my throw. After I threw that and I came home and I'm debriefing, I was just changing my angle a little bit. I'm trying to relax my hand. That's always been a problem with me, and I have to make sure my shoulders are centered. So when I'm getting people giving me feedback, like I said, about my throw, the only thing I'm changing, all the other stuff I'm doing is wrong. So the only thing that I was trying to work on is I'm changing, instead of staying flat over the top, I'm coming at it at an angle like this. And the only reason is this hand feels nice and relaxed when I pick them up like this, right? So my hand is relaxed. When I'm curling like this, it gets all tense. So I'm just relaxing my hand, and I'm coming across at an angle a little bit, making sure my shoulder is centered, right? Everything else should be the same. So when I'm talking my SMART goal, that's going to come out in my 1 hour practice. When we're talking about getting the pickup right and the turn right, those are the only 2 things that are changing is my pickup, because I'm coming at it. The pickup really isn't changing. It's just the turn actually is coming over because I'm not twisting my arm. I'm relaxing totally. And I love the way my muscles are relaxed here on my throw. And then the other thing was, the backswing, because my angle is down like this, right? I'm not curling up like this. I'm not doing a curl. I'm just doing a little push back. So those are the things. It's really about the turn and then the backswing that I'm changing a little bit. So I have to rethink my SMART goal. So I already know I got like a 9 SRR when I did the last 360. So I'm going to use that as my base for the next 6 months. And I'm going to be trying to get better than 9 SRR. And what is the changes going to be? Well, it's a very simple 1 hour practice now because it's the turn. I got to get that turn down, and I'm constantly going to be seeing if my shoulders are square and it's dead down on my throw. That's my only change in my practice. So everything else is going to stay the same. Now that I have this new relaxed angle and I'm looking at it in a little different way, my 9 throws going across are going to be the same. My dead cat's going to be the same. I'm still going to be aiming for my beanbags to get those 9 throws in. I got to get the muscle memory a little different than what I'm used to because my arm's coming in at just a different little angle. But my arms are also relaxed. So with my arms and my wrist and my hands relaxed, I got to practice that muscle memory. It's a whole nother thing, and we'll talk about that on my next video about how you can change your throw. Does your muscle memory and your brain change? And if it doesn't, what do you do to get it back, get it to where you want it to be? We'll talk about that next time. But that's how I'm working it. And I am going to give this, I'm figuring we're probably going to go down to Vegas again in the fall. So I'm using the fall as an effort to do that. And I want to make sure you guys get this. When I was in Vegas and we were throwing, my SRR was the worst out of the 4 because I had a lot of 7s that I opened with. But using the SRR as a tool, right? It's just a practice tool. It's not something to put 100% credence into because you could have a horrible SRR, but you could also make a lot of money just because you're hitting a lot of numbers, repeats, whatever you're betting. If you're throwing for a long time, it doesn't matter if you 7 on the next come out, which I kept doing, which was killing the all tall small. But on the back end, you can't rely on every number as a tool. You got to look at the whole package of your practice and your performance at the casino. Now, I had been in a casino. We had hours and hours of practice. I was with my buddies, and yet still my mental game, which, like we said, talking about muscle and mental memory, I was shaken when I was by myself. There's only 2 guys at the table. Nobody knows me. Nobody cares that I'm there. And I was still had a little shake. And I'm like, so I wasn't betting a lot. I still came out making about a couple $100. When my initial investment was 500, I came out 200, and I got the heck out of there because I was shaking, and I just couldn't stop my body from. I relaxed my arm, but when I was grabbing the dice and coming over, it was shaky. So I have to practice that too. I have to do a lot more live practice, get on those tables so I can try and get my mental game in. We'll talk about what your muscle and mental memory is like so that you can try and control that. And it drove me crazy because I just feel that how can I have some fine-tuned hand-eye dexterity if my hands are shaking? I literally put the dice down on the ground. I was doing breathing, and they didn't shake once I tap my finger down. But I was just laughing at myself, like, what is that? Why am I shaking with all this experience I have? So it happens to me as well as I'm sure it happens to you. And if it does, what can we do to get out of it? I think I got out of it towards the end a little bit, but I wasn't trusting myself, so I got out of there. But it's you don't want to start making it a head game thing. And I have never felt like that. I felt like if I'm in the zone, if I'm like really throwing well and I'm in a zone, I never shake. I'm just like, I just get there and I'm like, I know what's going on. It feels like those dice are like this big. My hand is this big. I got a nice throw. I'm in the zone, and that's where I like to get into. And when I'm in there, it's always surprising to me when I throw a 7 because I'm always thinking I'm invincible when I get into that mental game. So my practice here from here on in for the next 6 months is going to be trying to make sure that turn comes in a little bit differently, that I'm really making sure that this muscles are nice and relaxed on every throw. And then I got to practice my mental game by getting on those tables a lot more in my local casino. Even if I'm just betting 15 and 15 and just trying to get that out of there, I got to try and make sure that I'm so familiar with coming to a live table that I'm not nervous or shaky. So I'm going to keep working on that, and I'm going to keep sharing all this. So to form a conclusion here, if you're going to be getting on the table, whether it's 30 days from now, 60 days, 90 days, you got to have a plan. What is your SMART goal? What is a specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and timely plan in order to do it? Then you got to plan it, right? PPPPP. Get out there and say, I'm going to practice 1 hour every day for 30 days before I go. And my 1 hour practice is going to be 15 minutes of this, 30 minutes of this, 7 minutes of this, 30 minutes of this, and get a plan down so you can act on it, and then stick to that plan. That way, when you get to that casino, whether it's a week, a week away, or 2 weeks away, a month, 6 months, you can see how you did and give it a real honest shot. I do believe that this dice control works. I do believe I changed the benefits of that me against the casino. And I know people make a lot of money when I throw, so I know that something good is going on, and it happens more than you think. So we're going to talk about mental game, muscle memory, and most importantly, how I am the worst luck person in the whole world. So in order for me to make money at this game, I have to be a good dice control thrower. So as always, we don't talk about what strategy we use to make that $200 at the casino the other day, but I knew that I threw for a long, long time.